should be coming.
Can I see what's going on?
Second. Admit.
Okay.
Hi, Susan. Hi, Helen.
Carlos from Brazil is trying to in.
Is he?
Please here.
Carlos from Brazil is trying to in.
What's going on?
Hi, Heather.
Hi,
guys,
everyone.
how you doing?
How are you?
Hi. I didn't realize that my video was muted. I'm like, when's Cliffy gonna let me in? And I'm here.
Hi,
guys.
It's a bit overwhelming at the start because everybody's like joining at the same time. So there's like so many people wanting to like come in.
Hi,
and I'm
guys.
going
The infamous Cliffy Debhead
Vincent and
Zoom that I've
Tracy.
heard so much about.
We met.
No, but the Zoom. I mean, the Zoom
the
is
Zoom.
now getting very, very
So
popular.
everybody, Deb's in the house. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Hi.
You see me?
Yeah.
No.
I can't see me. Wait. Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
I want
How
to
is-
see everybody. Wait a minute. Let me go to the everybody screen. Gallery view. Hi, everybody. I am obsessed with these like unicorn and mermaid headdresses that I got at this local store like before this all started. And all of a sudden, butterflies are free. Like made me want to put on ethereal things. You'll see my selfie shoot later. It's quite something to behold. Hi, everybody. I'm seeing who's here. I see Noah. I see Andrea. I see Karen. I see Brian. I see Bruce. I see, oh my God, so many of you guys. Hi.
Niece is here. Little Deadpan is there too.
Hey, little guy. Did you tell everybody who the special guests were yet or no? It's not me. I'm like old hat already. You guys are used to me. Did you tell them?
So not me.
Oh, Heather, you're always special. Wait, can we talk about Aussie Bruce's rendition of Butterflies Are Free, like walking through like what looked like just the most gorgeous forest? Anyway, I also have my magic wand today. I don't know what's happening. Wait, can we unmute Bruce? Aussie Bruce?
Hi, Deb.
Hi.
So
That was incredible.
So it's amazing weather here in Australia at the moment. So it's really interesting with the current time and, you know, people meant to be staying at home, but it's so interesting because more people have been going out and exercising and just trying to make the most of the weather.
Yeah.
But then, as what I do when I'm out walking around in amazing scenes and weather, I always think about music that I really love. And so Butterflies Are Free obviously comes to mind, walking around like wonderful weather and scenes. So I thought, oh, what better way to capture the song by doing something like this? So,
well, first of all, I am the worst with birthdays and anniversaries and things. So I was like, I didn't even know it was the anniversary. So then but here's the weird thing. I played Butterflies Are Free on the Sirius show and reacquainted with Fonzie Thornton, who sang backup on that and so many others. But he and I just spoke literally 2 days ago, and then I just sent it to him today to go, oh my God, because we always laughed so hard. Me, Fonzie, Rob, and all the rotating divas that sang on the records. And that one, I remember we were going, free the butterflies, free the butterflies. And at the end, you hear us laughing and hooting and hollering. And I just put the recording of it on in my studio, and I listened, and I was like, oh my God, like what microphone was that? What vocal practice was I doing? Like everything about that recording really holds up. I mean, I could hear Celine doing that song, like singing that heck out of it. It was clearly inspired by that style of writing, but so yeah, it's fun. So then I just have Sean quickly editing this little selfie shoot I did in the backyard to a bit of Butterflies Are Free. I feel like that's the song that's being used to celebrate the anniversary right now. But thank you for that. I literally, when I saw my picture on your shirt, I was like, I feel like I'm going to enchanted forest right now with Bruce singing Butterflies It was so great.
Also, speaking for all the Debheads, the Deborah album is such a phenomenal album. And I just remember that in like those couple of years in my life, I played that album to death. And I have so many memories with the music from that album. So
That is so cool. Can I hear, Cliffy, can we hear from a few people on what? Oh, well, Eloise, I love your top. It looks great. I'd love to hear, like, I don't know, from a few people maybe on their favorite song or favorite memory from the album with like a show of hands. And then, I don't know, Cliffy, do your thing.
Yeah, Cliffy, you're muted. So
There she is. Hi, guys. Where are we? Are we on?
Oh, where are they?
oh, the special guests.
Are we here?
You have to put your video on.
Oh, yeah, hit video.
Hit video.
Hit video.
Yes. While you're hitting video, ladies and gentlemen, Aunt Linda and Uncle Carl.
That's my favorite
There we
niece.
are. Hi.
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 How's everybody?
We've heard so much about you, Aunt Linda and Uncle Carl, and I'm sure you've got so many stories of baby Deb to tell us.
Well, there are a few. I don't know what I'm allowed to say.
I'll just go beep when you said it. I'll go. No more. You look fabulous. Both of you look fabulous, but Aunt Linda in particular, you got really dolled up.
Oh, well, I'm telling you, the first time in 2 months.
Now, are you on your laptop or your phone? Can you see everybody?
I believe we see everybody.
We're on a laptop.
We're on the laptop.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
We see about 25 people.
You don't hear everyone at one time, but you'll see everybody.
So where is everybody from?
Everybody want to, well, Cliffy, who's hosting?
Well, we're from Australia,
Wow.
South
UK,
I'm from Brazil.
Texas, we got New York, we got California, we got Massachusetts, we got Seattle, we got Georgia.
Well, we're all over the place, aren't we?
Georgia.
I'm from New
Yeah.
So
Orleans.
welcome to Long Island.
Welcome to Long Island.
Welcome to Long Island.
Long Island.
See,
Long Island,
I got a cup of coffee
I'm
from
from
the
North
coffee
Carolina.
shop.
Who just said North Carolina?
Marjorie.
Audrey.
Oh, Marjorie, we can't see you.
Hi, Marjorie.
There you are, Marjorie.
Hello,
Okay.
Marjorie.
How are things in North Carolina?
Doing better. They're starting to lift some restrictions.
Good.
Finally.
That's good. Yeah, we're not there yet, but we're working on it.
Good. Should we, Linton and Tracy, do you want to unmute yourselves and say hello?
Oh, Linton and Tracy. So
Linton
they're
and
from the
Tracy are
UK.
here.
Uncle Carl.
Hi.
Hi,
Linton.
everyone.
There they are.
Hi, Deb. Hi, Uncle.
Hi. Hi, Allie. Kisses.
So you guys, you have questions for us? We've been around a long time.
Let me, Ali, you wanted to, everybody, it's Ali's birthday today as well.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Allie.
Oh, thank you.
And where are you from?
I'm from Indianapolis.
Happy birthday there.
Thank
How are
you.
things there?
We opened up about, I think it was last Monday, at
Great.
about 25%.
Okay.
So restaurants, stores, that kind of thing. I haven't personally been out since
Yeah.
they've opened because I'm a little paranoid about that.
Well, that's all right. We all are.
I had people come over to my driveway today and tell me happy birthday, and a friend brought me a cake. So I got to see some people, which is great. And I see my besties, Linton and Tracy, on here tonight.
So, and then Uncle Carl, a lot of, or maybe all, or almost all of the people you see have kind of met through their love of my music, which literally makes me want to cry, like every time I think about it. I mean,
Well, that's
and
nice.
how everybody's super connected. I see Craig Peel just joined us, hot on the heels of
Hi.
an anniversary.
Hi, Deb.
Lovely lady. Amazing.
Bye.
Another
Music is universal, right? It's all over.
yes.
So that's nice. Brings a lot of
And
people together.
Can I just say
I
something?
hope this as well. Sorry, I keep overlapping. I apparently like to talk. I was
Go
saying
ahead, Craig. You were saying something.
Yeah, I just want to say I met my beautiful wife because of Deb's music. and we've been married 4 years now.
Which
It's a long
song in
story.
particular?
Sorry?
Which song in particular?
Lost in Your Eyes.
That's the one.
Beautiful.
Yep. We had that as our wedding dance.
Very
And that
nice.
song was a top 10 hit in Australia. It was like number 4, number 3, I think.
We went to number 2, I think, yeah.
Number 2.
Yeah. Yep.
No, it's a beautiful song.
Great. Yep.
Yay!
So Debbie, thank you very much.
Thanks, Craig.
No problem.
I was so happy when I saw your post. That was so sweet. Your post the other
Thank you.
So Craig, you said you're married 4 years?
4 years now, yes.
Well, Uncle Carl and I are married 50.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Can you imagine that number?
Wow.
Deborah was at our wedding, but she didn't know it.
Yeah, she had the best seat in the house. She was still in utero.
I was 1 year old. 50 years old.
Quickly, Karen was showing us photos from the book when you guys were all younger. Did you want to unmute yourself, Karen?
Oh, let's see.
Hi, this is from the Between the Lines book. I think it's you, Uncle Carl, and Aunt Linda. And I think this is Aunt Linda, if I'm not mistaken, too. Sorry about the glare.
Yeah,
but I think that might be
oh,
wow.
I'm trying to see. Yep.
Yep.
That's me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, how cool. So you guys have any questions for Aunt Linda and Uncle Carl?
Yeah, do we have any questions? Who wants to go ahead, unmute yourself? Who wants to go? I think Craig.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yes.
So my question is, it's a fun one. So if you were gonna rank your nieces, the Gibson girls, from when they were growing up, from most behaved to least behaved, how would you rank them?
Oh, Deborah, I don't. Can I throw you under the bus? Actually, they were all very well behaved.
And still are.
Yes, they were all very well behaved.
Except for the crazy hat.
Thank you.
Deborah always loved her crazy hats, though.
Right. But what were you going to throw me under the bus? Were you going to tell me the beach?
Well, the most vivid memory I have is the beach day, right?
Yeah,
When Deborah's parents were moving from Brooklyn to Long Island, Uncle Carl and I took, at that point, it was only 3 girls, and we took them all to the beach. And it was Reese Park Beach, right? And you had to walk down a long cement, I'll call it boardwalk, but it was made of cement. And we had beach chairs. And Deborah, you were how old? Were you like 3?
I was like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
For 8, yeah.
And Deborah wanted my chair. And there was no saying no. So I gave her the chair, and she dragged that chair down the concrete walk. Everybody on the beach, I think their skin was crawling. And then finally we got to the sand and we sat on the beach, and then she wanted my hat. I wish I had a picture of that. We have a picture
somewhere. Like I've got that.
Aaron has a picture of that.
Fruit punch all over my mouth.
There she is. There she is, dragging the chair.
There she is.
And she had to have my hat, and she had to have my chair, but I gave it to her. It made her happy.
When Deborah wanted something, she got
I was
it.
always stubborn.
What, Deb?
I was always stubborn.
You wanted what you knew what you wanted. I'm going to put it that way. You knew what you wanted.
Okay, I think Stephanie has a question. Go ahead, unmute yourself, Stephanie.
So I actually have a couple questions, but I'm just going to do one for right now because I know. But what is your favorite memory of Debbie?
I loved when Deborah started kindergarten. Deborah, do you remember the song? Do you remember the song?
Of course I remember the song.
She came home. You came home that day, or you prepared the song the day before, but wrote a song about going to kindergarten, which I loved it because it was
It was all Deborah.
It was all Deborah, and she was only 5 years old. And it was Do you remember the lyrics, Deborah?
Oh, of course, yes. Make sure you know your classroom. Make sure you know
Right.
your seat. Yeah. She looks so sweet. Repeat, and then it ends on her. You'll have to wait in the street, which everybody.
That was a fun memory.
Okay, Eloise has a question as well. Go ahead, Eloise.
Oh, hi. I think the question you just answered might be similar to my question, but do you remember the first time Deb sang in public and what she sang?
Well, I remember you did Baby June. Didn't you do Baby June?
I did do Baby June. That was
Right.
after like Sound of Music with the girls and everything.
Right. Yeah, you were pretty young. You were pretty young then, right? That was with the community theater or the church, right?
Jewish Center. So I had no couth when it came to, I'm like, I'll be at the Jewish Center this month and the church next month. Wherever they were doing the show, I went.
Yeah, but that was a fun show.
That was, Roz, who is now no longer with us, but Roz, who played Mama Rose, I've always said this, our temple Mama Rose was one of the best Mama Roses I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was a bold local gal.
That was a good show.
It was good. And Dad was in it.
Yeah.
I'll never forget Dad trying to figure out how he was going to say his one-liners. So we'd be in the car, he'd be driving me somewhere, and he'd be going, now, Deb, should I say it, hey, Gyps, what do you say? Or should I say, hey, Gyps, what do you say? Or should I say, hey, Gyps, what do you say? And he would try to pre-plan how he was going to say his one line. He was so funny.
Yeah, and that Denise was in that too, right? Was Denise around?
She was the balloon girl, and she was in the talent show with the balloons on her and a clown suit.
Yeah, she was really young.
Yeah. She was in the
I have a question. Who was the most mischievous out of the girls? Who got up to the most mischief?
Mischievous.
That's not a word you could use to describe them.
Yeah,
in all honesty, they were all really lovely little girls, well-behaved, very good manners, very respectful.
I was about to throw
oriented.
Michelle under the bus only because.
Say it again, Deb.
Michelle was the one I think who pushed the envelope. She was the one who might say she's going someplace and was out, Eisenhower Park with the boys having a picnic or something. Like it was like very innocent mischief, but it was
Yes.
Yeah.
It was innocent.
It wasn't. Yeah.
It was innocent.
No, nobody did anything really like.
Nobody was wild or crazy. We were quite boring.
Does anybody else have any questions they want to ask?
Oh, Stephanie.
Stephanie again? Yeah.
What are your 5 top favorite Deb songs and why?
Oh, 5.
5. Well.
Let me tell you what the most memorable was. When Deb starred in Les Mis on Broadway.
Yes.
And she played Eponine, and she sang on Broadway that feature song.
On My Own.
On My Own. That was beautiful.
That was just the most amazing thing. And of course, she went on to do other Broadway shows where she was equally wonderful. But that was a very special moment because song was a showstopper, and she literally brought down the house.
Yeah.
And I think we saw that with her in it probably
several
or 5
times.
And each time we did it, it brought tears to our eyes.
Thank you. How many of you guys were at Les Mis? I think quite a few of you. Have any? Or not? Yes.
Denise, let's unmute Denise. Go, Denise.
Yes. Hi. Yeah. We were at the Les Mis show in the city. So we saw you do the, to play Eponine, and it was amazing. It really was.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Yeah. Very powerful performance.
Yeah,
awesome.
It was great. Also, we also enjoyed Cabaret. Cabaret was great fun.
Cabaret was
great. She did a great job in Cabaret.
And you brought the uncle. All the older uncles, all the men that were in the Electric Youth video with my grandpa.
Yes.
When they all came on a bus, and then the Kit Kat girls were giving them spankings before. That was a fun memory for me.
Yes.
There were all these farmers from Vineland, New Jersey, and then
Yeah.
suddenly, you know, all these girls in corsets were sitting on their laps and Uncle Tony, you need a spanking. What? Great, very good.
Yeah. Great memories.
Anybody else have anything? You can see.
Nobody.
Another anecdote with Les Mis. I called Deborah once, and I was a principal of a school, and I said to Deborah, I have a bunch of special kids, and I'd like to take them as a gift to see you on a Wednesday matinee in the show, Les Mis. And she said that was great, and she arranged seats for us, and we took about 60 kids, and they had the best seats in the house, of course. And she was gracious enough after the show to have some of the performers come out, and after the theater emptied, the kids were brought down front, and the kids were allowed to ask questions. And they were asking questions, and the entertainers were just so lovely with them. And then at one point, Deborah turned around, Deborah, I don't know if you remember this, and she said, and then there's something about my Uncle Carl. Now, nobody in my school knew she was my niece.
Until then.
We kept that secret for a lot of reasons.
I
And,
am with him.
For sure.
well, the next day, 2,000 kids were trying to bust into my office to get some kind of an in connection with Debbie Gibson because they found out she was my niece. So I always wanted to thank her for that.
Noah has a question for Deb. Go ahead, Noah.
Debbie, oh my gosh, how cool is this? Hey, Deb, you look fabulous. Can we just talk about what you're wearing?
Like having to have like this weird, like, I'm telling you, some kind of fairy tale Saturday in my house today, just to keep myself amused.
Yeah.
I was trying green eyeshadow today, darn it.
Yes, it looks lovely. By the way, your aunt and uncle, they are adorable, but what words of wisdom have you gotten from them that you take with you or you remember, Deb?
Okay, so now I will divulge. So literally as recently as this past week, I had my day, like probably a lot of us have during this crazy time, where I needed to be talked down off the ledge. I was like not feeling well. I was like just kind of all over the place. So I was like, who can I call? Who can I call? Who can I call who won't be overly concerned and worried, because that energy doesn't help me, but who's not going to be like, you know, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, kid. So anyway, you know, I'm trying to remember specifically from that conversation. I only know that I got off the call feeling way better than when I got on the call. But basically, Linda's very compassionate and very pragmatic and will divulge what she's going through in order to help me, and I would say all of her nieces and children, through what they're going through. So she's the cool aunt that we all, you know, want to have, and I have one. But yeah, I mean, I just think really it's like, I feel like in that conversation there was a lot about kind of like just calmly looking for answers, but also like accepting what is, and you know, yeah, which really kind of can help. Like I always say with health stuff, if there's an answer to be found, I want to find it. But if there's not, and this is, like she put it, this is the hand you're dealt, or at least right now, I want to find a way to be okay with it so that it doesn't monopolize my every thought, my every breath. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of wisdom. I'm going to try again. There's a lot of wisdom in that phone call, and it helped me greatly get on a great track this past week, and just kind of, again, pragmatically address what I've needed to address, but not getting too freaked out. It helps when you can speak to anybody and find out, oh, I'm not alone. Everyone's going through their vision.
Right. I think we're kind of all going through something at the moment. Yeah. Now, I have one for your aunt and uncle real quick. Like, how proud are you to see Deb, like, you know, grow up from when she was a kid to where she's at now, especially in her career? Like, she's really just, I mean, we're all so proud of you, Deb. Like, you've done so much, and you're so
Thank you, Noah. And by the way, Aunt Linda and Uncle Carl, Noah is, well, you're 21 now? 21 or 22?
22. Yeah, 22. Yeah.
Now, and he has a very successful talk show online, and he interviews stars all the time. And he's now become a friend after
Congratulations.
press junket for Hallmark. So what I'm bringing that up because he's very humble. He's somebody who's also now like kind of, he has this measure of success at a super young age.
Very young. Well, congratulations.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Deb.
Yes.
Yes.
Eloise has another question. Go ahead,
Oh
Eloise.
wait, no, I didn't get his answer. Sorry.
Okay,
so
repeat the question. What was the question? No, how proud are we? Well, you can't put it into words, you know? I mean, we're super proud of Deborah. But in all fairness, you know, we always say we're proud of all our nieces and our children and grandchildren. And, you know, everybody has their special talent. And we get to share Deborah's with the rest of the world.
And one thing that's very special about Deborah is with all of her success and notoriety and the person she's become, she's never become a diva. She's still
very humble.
A little niece. And after dinner, she cleans the table with everybody else. And she's just a very humble person. And that's the special quality that she has, that she doesn't see herself as a celebrity. She sees herself as just a person. And that's very unique in her business.
That's the good thing, because so many, you know, it goes to their head. And with Debbie, I always tell her fans all the time when we get on house parties and do stuff, because I really become connected with Debbie's fans. They're so lovely and so sweet. And I always say that, you know, she is like one of a kind, and they always, everyone has something good to say about Deb. Like, there's nothing that you can never say bad about Debbie. Like, she's so kind-hearted and she cares so graciously and deeply for her fans. And I mean, I have interviewed so many people, and there's nobody that I've interviewed that is so kind-hearted like Debbie. I mean, I say that.
Thank you. That is really nice. That is really
She's grounded, and she started at a very young age, as you are. So you just got to stay grounded.
Yeah, and I do credit the family, because our family has always been super grounded. And like, you know, in the old days when we had all the older generation of our Italian relatives and whatever, it was always just a good old time around the table. And you know,
life revolved around the dinner table on Sundays.
Yes, and nobody was like overly impressed by me, because it was about everybody. Like, it's about everybody.
Awesome.
And,
We have a question from Carlos. Go ahead, Carlos. You wanted to ask a question?
Hi guys, how are you doing? First of all, congratulations, Deborah. Well, I have a question about Fun Girl. What happened to that show that it was interrupted?
Oh, Funny Girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was oh god, it's a long political theater story where, you know, like, they honestly didn't, they put 3 weeks rehearsal in instead of 6. They really didn't have all their ducks in a row. Like, when you mount a new production of Funny Girl, in my opinion, you need to spend about 3 months, like, really putting it together. So I feel like production-wise, it wasn't really up to Broadway standards. That's what I feel happened. You know, quite honestly. We were getting lovely reviews, and we had packed houses, and I just think there was like, I just think in terms of like, wow, this is the new version of Funny Girl. It didn't have the wow factor on the production. I will say this, quite honestly though, that was such a grueling show for me to do. I'm very much a fan of the phrase, everything happens for a reason. Always. You know, I mean, there are some projects that I'm supposed to do next year that'll probably be pushed back a hair, and I'm going, great, more time to prepare. Great, more time to make sure my health is stable. Great, more. And with that, I think honestly, like, that length of time we did it for was enough for me personally to get a taste of what that was like. And I've always said this about, in my theater work, I've always, even in the songs I always wrote them in a key that was a little bit higher than what my natural voice would want to do. And it was always like a push, and I'm done pushing. It doesn't mean I'm not striving to do things at a certain level. But I'm like, let me embrace what's natural about my voice. I'm not Barbara Streisand. I am not that vocalist. I hate freaking meditating before shows. I'm an adrenaline girl. So I would rather be that girl that goes out there with, like, Cabaret was great for me in that. I got to open with all that adrenaline. My high note was a note that was comfortable for me. It just made me enjoy my life more while I was doing it. I was enjoying the pride I took in the fact that I aimed for that funny girl role, I got it, and I was delivering. But I think sustaining that would have actually been harmful to me, to my psyche, because it was so grueling. And to do it on the road, some of those divas roll out of bed, open their mouths, and they hit those notes. I don't. I really don't. And so I was kind of like, okay, what's next? I was always very much like, I think I was so used to disappointment from being a kid in theater and not getting roles and things like that, that I've always had a very healthy attitude when something shifted. Like, I'm like, okay, time to pivot. All right, what are we doing next? So I just moved on. But
Do we have another question from Stephanie? Go ahead, Stephanie. I know you've been waiting patiently.
Deb, I just have a question for you. Now we got what from your aunt and uncle, but I just want to know from you, like, what is your favorite memory with your aunt and uncle?
Oh, that's such a good question. You know, the thing that just popped into my head were sleepovers. When I was a kid, we would have the best sleepovers. There'd usually be maybe an ice skating excursion involved. There'd be Mickey Mouse pancakes involved. They were the first in town to have a VHS, to have a VCR, and video games. So we always had really fun sleepovers. And Albert, now I'm going to out my nephew Albert, he would, as a very young boy, go streaking through the house, and I would say, "Nudie in the basement, nudie in the basement."
Oh, I forgot about that.
So I have a quick question, Deborah. So I'm wearing my Ghostbusters
Child.
t-shirt.
Oh my God, Ghostbusters!
What was your memories from briefly appearing in that movie? Like,
Okay, so whenever I did extra work as a kid, it was really fun because I'd get a call, and a lot of times you didn't know what you were showing up for. So one time I'd be like, oh my God, there's Woody Allen, and we're in an amusement park. How cool. This is going to be a fun day. One time I showed up, and it was Fame, and there was Janet Jackson, and I got to dance on a car. So with Ghostbusters, I kept hearing the title, and I was only 11, and I was like, Ghostbusters? Like, what is that? No one had heard of it yet. And I always had a knack for getting myself upgraded from the chorus to principal. So like they would throw me in with a group of people, but inevitably I wore the prettiest party dress. I had the bow in my hair. Like I was like, I'm going to get a starring role in this movie. It wasn't quite that, but they did say, we're going to make you the birthday girl, and we're going to put you at the table with the balloons. And I literally remember the guy playing the waiter, playing the main server. And I remember thinking, he keeps blocking my shot, darn it. And he did, like you would have seen me for maybe 30 seconds instead of 2 if he wasn't standing in front of me the whole time. But then I always remembered, was it Harold Ramis who played the, no. Was it Harold Ramis, or am I mixing up the characters that was in that scene? With the glasses, the short one. But anyway, I just remembered him doing it over and over, doing the like slide down the window. You know, he was like screaming. And again, we didn't even know what was going on in the plot of the movie. So I just remembered watching that over and over too, getting such a kick out of the comedic acting going on. So I always love, like, if any of you have like young family members that want to be in the business, I always say, just go do everything you can. Because even later in life, when I starred in independent movies and then later in Hallmark stuff and all of that, it's like I had the experience of having been on a set, and it was kind of not like a freaky thing to me. I was used to that atmosphere, and I knew it wasn't glamorous. I knew it was an all-nighter for me. But I remember going, Aunt Linda and Uncle Carl, you're going to remember, we went to Gable's movie theater in Merrick, which was like 59 cents. And we all waited for me to appear for the 2 seconds. It was like, and then that was it. We all kind of yelled at the screen, and that was it.
Eloise has another question. Go ahead, Eloise.
And then after this question, you guys, I've actually got to run because I have another biz Zoom to prepare for 20 minutes. We're zooming away and doing all these charity live streams and things at this time. Like I keep saying, I've never been busier. It's very interesting. But so Eloise, last question.
Oh, for Uncle Carl and Aunt Linda, first of all, you look way too young to be Deb's aunt. But I mean, that is a compliment to you too. I need some kind of filter for myself. But you guys all look great. I was going to ask, at what point did you just know that she was going to make it in the music business? This is for Carl and Linda.
We always kind of knew because she was driven. I would always remark to Linda that Deborah would go to an audition and be rejected, and she'd come back with a smile on her face and say, okay, on to the next one. I remember she had no idea how to roller skate, and she auditioned for the Broadway show with all the roller skating. And I remember saying to her, Deborah, go break in front of these people. And she said, I don't care, I'm going to do it. And she went, and she didn't get the part, and she came back and she laughed, and she said, on to the next one. And that was just fabulous about her. She had a great disposition about this entire business and how it could hurt you. But she
it's
never
really funny because I thought you were going to bring up the Wendy's commercial, because I also, roller skating was always a funny thing for me. With the Wendy's commercial, they said you have to be a great skater. And so we actually went, we somehow got the rink when it was closed so that I could get a private lesson just to do one, to do shoot the needle or whatever that move is where you put your leg out front and you're kind of low to the ground. And I learned how to do skate backwards a little bit. And I got the commercial. It was the only Wendy's, only Wendy's. You know what you had to do in the commercial after all that? I had to sit on the steps and tie my skates. And then skate off, holding on to the girls, there were 4 of us, their waists, and that was it. So they'd put you through all this stuff, all this hoop jumping, and the agents would always call, they'd go, can you dive? Now, that was where I drew the line. I was like, I'm not a diver. That's not happening. But for the most part, horseback ride, sure. Or whatever it was, I would just lie, fib my way through until I actually had to do it and then figure it out. It's so funny. That's so funny you brought that up. Yeah, Starlight Express was not in the cards.
Starlight Express. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Deb, for coming. We'll let you go prepare for your next Zoom.
Thank you. And Aunt Linda and Uncle Carl, you're welcome to hang. You're welcome to go, whatever. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Very nice meeting all of you.
Everybody, stay healthy, you all.
Stay healthy. Stay safe.
Bye.
I need you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.